Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, how are you? Welcome to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Did the Pacers play last night? Or is it me? Did I have a dream? I'm just kidding. Welcome aboard on this Friday. And man, oh man, we got a loaded show and it'll be a fun one. But welcome into the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. Glad to have you along. And man, oh man, just when you think the Pacers have done all that they can do to surprise you, they do it again. But welcome aboard on this day. A lot to get to as far as a packed house. Todd Liry, of course, will join us. Zach Osterman, Bob Kravitz, Alec Lazley. Bob Kravitz and Zach Osterman both down in Oklahoma City, as we'll be getting reports from both of those gentlemen. So we've got it all going on today. I hope everyone is having a great week. Boy, if not, the Pacers sure ended it on a great note for you. How incredible was that? Game one in Oklahoma City, the expectation are okay. They're gonna may give up game one. Nope. No. This is there you go, Tyrone. Exactly. This Pacers team is pretty good. Yeah, they do it again. Tyrese Haliburton doing Haliburton things. Holy moly. That shot went up, and you've got to be kidding me. I mean, it's not like that they've just done this 2 times. This has happened so many times in this NBA playoffs. It's been crazy. But man, that is incredible. And to see that happen again and again and again. I mean, people use terms like team of destiny, and boy, it's starting to look like it. I mean, if Indiana goes on to win the NBA championship, first of all, that might be one of the biggest upsets. I'm not an NBA historian, but this is a pretty good upset. You're the 4th seed. You knocked off the number 1 seed early on. You then beat the team that beat the number 2 seed of the reigning NBA champions. Now you're taking on the unbeatable team, the team that everybody else was just playing second for. Nah, not so fast. Not so fast, my friend. How is everybody doing on this Friday? Glad to have you along. Todd Liry will be joining us. As I said, Zach Osterman, Bob Kravitz, Alec Lazley. It's a loaded show today, man. It is absolutely a loaded show. And good. That way I don't have to do all the talking, especially on a day after last night. I just can't believe. First of all, we're in June. And we're still talking about exciting, meaningful basketball. If this July and then August is a trip to Puerto Rico, right? So you might have to go 1 month without actual meaningful basketball being played in the state of Indiana. But that's not really true because of all of the grassroots basketball that's going on. But crazy. Yeah. But it's going to be fun. Can't wait. I'm still just in shock over that win last night by the Pacers. It's why you think about it, you talk about it, but when it really happens, you're like, wow, is that really? Did that really happen? Andrew pointing out Haliburton 5 of 5 in the playoffs with the game on the line in the last 15 seconds. That's pretty good too. But yeah. Fred says he's running out of heart pills. Gritty says she's going to have to start taking them. But hey, fun. If nothing else, this Pacers team has been nothing but fun this year, man. But it's not just that. They're for real. Aaron thinks that the Anthony Richardson time might be over in Indy. Yeah, well, we'll get to that. We're not going to skip Pacers for Anthony Richardson. That's for damn sure. Andrew says the rest of the NBA, 4-26 with game-winning tying shots in the last 15 seconds. Well, don't break his streak, man. All season. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. How does he keep doing that? Brad, I don't know. Team of Destiny, maybe for real? Who knows? But it's working. It's working. This is not a team that, especially after the first 15 games of the season, not many people expected to see this. But that's okay. That's what makes sports incredible. The unexpected. It doesn't always happen the way it's supposed to happen. The studio is just backlit. I don't have my candles on. I lit up, but there's enough lights in this studio. But if you guys prefer the studio lit, I'm going to have to light the studio. Apparently, I have a couple of comments already. But yeah, there's plenty of light in here for me. Trust me, it's hotter than hotter than Tyrese Haliburton shooting with 15 seconds to go in the game. That's how hot it is. Man, I will how many times? It's crazy. Can you even remember all the shots that he's hit in this playoffs alone? That's right. Shenanigans don't remember. He's very overrated, though. I would love for every NBA player that voted him the most overrated player in the NBA to have to stand up and be counted and say, yeah, I voted. I said he's the most overrated player in the NBA. I bet, yeah. Love to see that. Doesn't matter. Seth, how are you, sir? Yes, sirs is right. Man. But just think about the fun that they are providing. And these are both of these teams, small market teams, Oklahoma City and Indianapolis. Who'd have thunk it? Are holding the basketball world hostage as these NBA playoffs roll on. Now they have to go back. One more time, game 2 will happen in Oklahoma City. And they're playing with house money now. But now that means they have to keep the home games as wins, or you give that back up. But right now, home court advantage, Pacers, as they steal game 1 That's the best. There's a great description. Robert says the Pacers are a thrill ride. They are that and more. Glad to have you along, no matter where or how you're listening on this Friday. It is a spectacular one as the Pacers get it off in unbelievable fashion, winning game one of the NBA Finals with a last-second shot by Tyrese Haliburton. It's wild to see this continue to happen again and again, but it has. And this is for the marbles, man. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not some fluke. They are going through. Now, I don't want to get too excited. They won game one. There's more games that you have to win, but the sheer fact that they've done this time and time again, it gets you to thinking, is this a team of destiny? Or is there such a thing? They're sure looking like it. There's no doubt about that. Will they turn out to be? Yeah, I hope so. I mean, just for Indy fans, for Pacer fans, for fans throughout the state of Indiana. It's great for the state. It's all eyes are on the state of Indiana right now, especially this morning, as it's kind of hard to ignore when they keep doing it. And they have just done it time and time again. And they continue to do it. Think about this. They're closer to an NBA championship right now than Oklahoma City is. They're 3 games away from winning the NBA championship, which would be a first in franchise history. They would become only the first team ever. Now, as I sit here and think out loud, to win an ABA and an NBA championship, I think that they would. I think that they would be. How crazy is that? Hey, we got to take a pause for the cause. Bobby Johnson asking, are Galloway and Leo the losingest players in the history of IU basketball? If you're talking about wins and losses, I would have no idea. I'm sure that that's a solid question to go back and add up. But we're going to take a break, and I don't have time to do it. But Brandon says you can't count this team out. Yeah, you do that, and you're in trouble. We're back with more on the other side from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. When we return, the Todd father should be joining us. Eventually, we'll hear from Zach Osterman and Bob Kravitz from Oklahoma City, as they are both down in the city covering the NBA Finals. Alec Lazley will join us later as well. We'll get you caught up on what has happened this week in the world of IU athletics, as both football, basketball, summer workouts have begun. There's nothing fun about that. Nothing fun about that. We've got plenty to get through today. Back with it from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on the other side. Back with it.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMoreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. Man, oh man, and we're probably going to talk about some basketball today. Todd Liry joins me now, and Todd, of course, in the first segment, I think the Pacers had a game last night. I wasn't watching, but did they play?
You were not watching?
I'm kidding.
Hopefully you're being facetious. That was incredible.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Again, I don't think I've ever seen. I've never seen a team win this many games that are this close in any sport, really, at this level. It's just, and you hear these phrases, team of destiny and all that, blah, blah. Kind of starting to look like that might be the case for this team, because not only can you not count them out, you better not count them out, because every time you do, they stick a dagger in you.
It's unbelievable. This is the multiple times I've woken up and said they did it again. Like last night, I was almost, you're looking at it and you're going, man, your luck runs out at some point, so you got to assume it's not luck. Like they just never quit, and they play for 48 minutes. And man, that is, I can't remember the last time a team had this many comebacks. You're in any sport, like you said in a second ago. You're exactly right. In any sport, I can't remember the last time a team had this many in one playoff series. Let alone, like, you think about their whole history as a franchise. Like, this is amazing what they have done in this playoff run.
Well, they could become, by my mind, if I'm thinking right, the first franchise in NBA history to win an ABA and an NBA title.
I don't know that. I don't know my ABA history, so I'm
well,
not sure about
you've got San Antonio and what was New Jersey, now Brooklyn, the Nets, and oh man, there's one other that I'm failing to come up with right now. But anyway, there were only 4 that made the switch, and Indiana Pacers, of course, won an ABA title. But yeah, it's just to watch them play now. They're dangerous now, because if you think they had confidence before, they're playing with house money, and the confidence that they have to be playing with, boy, I don't want to have to fight or play or anything somebody that has this kind of confidence, because they feel like they can take on the world.
Well, but I don't think last night changed that for them. I think they've already felt that way. They've done it so many times. They're confident in each other. They're all, professional athletes. They're confident anyway. I think the real difference this morning is now Oklahoma City might be questioning their dominance. Like, they're not going to question whether they're good or not. They know they're good. But I think they had a little bit of a confidence, if you want to call it overconfidence, as to, how this series was going to go. And yes, if you lose game one at home, you don't question whether you're going to win the series, because I would say that Oklahoma City still is pretty confident in themselves. But there's a little bit at the back of your mind that's like, okay, this team's for real. Like they're legit and they're for real, and it's going to be a fight and a battle, and it's not going to be a 4-0 sweep. Obviously not now for Oklahoma City. And I think the real difference this morning versus prior to today is Oklahoma City has doubt's not the right word, but it's crept in a little bit that they're realizing the Pacers might be for real.
Well, they're already an 11-point dog for Sunday's game coming
Crazy,
back.
isn't it?
Gritty says, show me the money. Vegas is giving them no respect. And, every team that the Pacers have played have all been built on a superstar. And that's the one thing the Pacers are not.
Yep.
That's not quite true. They do, but they have many stars. They have so many stars. I've talked about this. There's down to Thomas Bryant. You don't know who the hell's going to be the guy you got to. He was in action again last night. Yep. And you hit it on the nail on the head previously when you talked about it when he didn't play it, and you said, well, it depends on the matchup. He may play a ton the next game. He did. He scored a bunch of points, and they're able to get Rick Carlisle, just the sixth coach ever to take two different franchises to the NBA Finals. But this dude is getting it. He should get a ton of credit as well, because he has managed this team very, very well, and they are playing as well as a team can. They are the word team is emphasized here.
Yeah, I picked up what you were putting down there, but yes, it's for sure. This team is. Let's throw it back to college terms, because we generally talk college basketball most about IU and that stuff, and I would say that the Pacers are built up of a whole roster full of 4 stars. And they don't have a 5-star. And yeah, Haliburton is amazing. I'm not discounting how good any of those guys are. I don't mean it that way. But I would say 5 stars in the NBA would have to consist of, the elite guys that you could possibly put on the face of, a NBA 2K game or something like that. And the Pacers don't have that guy. But they have all 4-star plus guys. And I don't just mean Haliburton and Siakam. I go down to Nesmith and Nembhard and Turner, and all of those guys are probably some level of 4-star, whether it's high 4-star or lower 4-star. Those guys are the next. There's a whole roster full of that next level guys, and they accept that. That's one of the things with the NBA. We've heard since I was a little kid, the NBA is a business. Like, it's different. It's not just a game. It's not just a sport. Like, it's a business, and it's handled differently. And I bought into that. I do think that that's the case. Well, this particular team with the Pacers is built different than most other teams in the NBA. And that's because they don't have – I heard Siakam say in one of the interviews after he had 39 points or whatever it was in that New York series, he talked about, we don't care who scores. That's something a lot of people say. I honestly think they believe it. Like, I don't think they care who scores. As long as they win, I don't think they care. Haliburton seems to, I think they have a ton of confidence in Haliburton to make a final shot. I think he's proven he's worthy of that. So at the end of the game, maybe they give him the ball like last night. As soon as they got the rebound, immediately found him with 5 seconds to go going down the court. But I don't think that they all look at it and say, oh my gosh, Haliburton is our guy. I think there's several guys that feel like, they're huge contributors. And the shots that Nembhard made in those last couple of minutes, those between the legs, step back 3-pointer that he made, oh my gosh, like that's Mona. That's stuff you do at the hyper. Like those are not moves that are generally made in an NBA game. And so, yeah, the makeup of this team is fun. I saw a tweet from somebody last night, and it said, boy, it must be fun to be a Pacers fan. It's somebody who obviously isn't from Indiana, isn't a Pacers fan. and they're like, this team is just a fun team to root for. And I know everybody, the whole thing across the NBA is, well, we don't have big market teams in there. Well, I tell you what, the Pacers are now that the NBA has kind of gone global, they're earning a lot of respect for one, but they're earning a lot of fans all across the world, not just the country of the United States. So, this is just a awesome, fun thing. And I respect it. I loved that tweet this morning where the guy said, it must be fun to be a Pacers fan, because it certainly is.
Yeah, that's a great point, and the fans that it may bringing in for the Pacers, being a small market team to international people that are still looking for an NBA team. Tyrese Haliburton, how can you not root for a team like this? It's almost impossible, especially they're not the big boys, so that they haven't they haven't won all these championships in a row. They're not the Celtics. Hey, man, let the little guy have it. Of course, Oklahoma City's a little guy too, but we won't talk about that. but
yeah, they both are. But I mean, they're earning. SGA gets them a ton of looks and people. He's an amazing superstar. Take nothing away from him. And the way their team's built, and the way they play, and the way they're coached. Like, look at the way that first half went last night. I mean, 19 turnovers at halftime, maybe more than that. I think I quit counting at 19. But they're a very solid, very, very good team. Solid's not the right word. They're an amazing team also. But there's something about the Pacers that makes you like them. And you're right. Like, I started noticing how many times down the court last night Oklahoma City would come down and make either 0 or 1 pass. And that's because they do have superstars. They've got a superstar at SGA, and he earns that right. He's the MVP of the league. I get it. Should be leading scorer in the league. The Pacers don't do that very often. They don't come down. I mean, the amount of times they make 0 or 1 passes is far, far less than the average, than every other team in the NBA. And that's, as basketball people, the movie Hoosiers and, how Indiana University was built back in Coach Knight's days. Like, we had to make 4 passes. Everybody thought that was the thing. It really wasn't. But we made 4 passes because that's the way our offense ran. And that's the way this offense runs. Like, they move the ball around, and to watch that movement, watch how fast it goes around. It's just fun. And they're going to continue to pick up, fans across the world based on the way that they play. And they play hard. They got fun guys to watch. And I can't believe I'm this excited. Like, you know me well enough. I don't love the NBA. I don't watch it during the regular season. It's human nature. Game 50 out of an 82-game season when LeBron doesn't play on a road game and all that stuff. I get it. I understand why they don't. But that's why I don't like it. That's why I don't watch it. But when the playoffs comes around and you get the best athletes in the world playing as hard as they can and fighting for everything and battling, and it's physical, I can't believe how excited I am to watch this. Like, this series is fun. The whole playoffs is fun.
Brad says that it's been funny hearing the Chinese broadcast on these winning Halley shots at the end of the game. I would love to hear a compilation of that.
Yeah, how they always do that with like soccer goals and all that stuff. It's always fun to listen to the other countries do it. And yeah, I'll bet they are hilarious. I bet they're fun.
Oh my gosh! And Andrew mentioned earlier, he's 5 for 5 in game-winning shots with the game on the line. And I think the rest of the NBA this year was 4 for 25 or something, whatever it was.
It's just insane. What he's done is amazing, and that's what propels his name, I think, to the front. And like, I'm not,
but he's overrated now. Don't forget that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what everybody says. The most overrated superstar in the league. But look, I don't think he cares. I think he's kind of feeding off of it. I think you kind of like that. And this is one of the things all young players, when you're a young kid and you're growing up and you get a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, whether it's because you're short or whether it's because you're slow or whether it's because you can't jump or whether it's because of whatever the reason might be, you get a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. And I think a lot of players play better when they have that chip on their shoulder. And I think Haliburton has that chip on his shoulder. his dad probably deserved to not be allowed to come to some of the games before and all that. But I mean, puts a little chip on your shoulder. You're like, okay, all right. You want to ban somebody in my family from coming? Okay, we'll see what happens. And I love, like, it's fun watching guys compete when it gets to that stage of their careers. And these guys are amazing. Haliburton, I hope what I say when I say they're not elite superstars, I hope that doesn't take away from how good I think they are, because I would rather watch the Pacers play.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just fun to watch him play. And Haliburton is like a kid. It's like he's just a kid out there
Right.
that's not smart enough to know that you're not supposed to be at this level. And I don't mean that he's not smart. You know what I'm saying.
Sure.
You're right. He just doesn't care. He's like, I'm just gonna go out and have fun.
He's got baby face.
When I first met him, he was driving
the
the pace car. And he was like, he was just pretty,
Right.
even though he was just happy-go-lucky. He's just a guy. You would never know he was an NBA superstar.
He's got the world by the tail. You know, you hear that about a lot of people, and boy, he's got the world by the tail right now, especially the basketball world. And he's enjoying it. You can tell. But I mean, look, this happened in the New York series. He makes the shots at the end of the game, so he's the guy we're talking about this morning. If Nembhard doesn't do what he did in the fourth quarter last night, they don't win. Like, and their defense on SGA on that very last play, not fouling him. How many times have you watched Oklahoma City in all of these series, when it comes down to that last play like that, not only does SGA probably score the basket, he gets fouled. And they played great defense on it. And they kept him out of getting to his spot where he wanted to get to, and kind of shot a little bit more of a fade away than normally. I mean, there's so many guys that you can look at that made contributions, isn't the right word, but were major factors in being able to win that game last night. And it's just different. It's different when you get a team full of guys playing for a team rather than playing for any kind of, personal accolades or accomplishments.
Oklahoma City has the second youngest finals roster in NBA history. And I wondered if, I don't want to say lack of experience, because we're at the NBA finals now. It's not like this is game one of the first round of the playoffs. And so they've managed to get through all of that. The experience has not really been a factor. And the Pacers don't exactly have a ton of experience. They just have a little bit more. But I don't know that experience is doing much here. I think it is just laying it on the line. Both of these teams are going to have to just decide who is going to go out and win this. Now, Oklahoma City has been in this position before in the series with Denver when they lost a game to them, but they came back and won handily. But man, this is Pacers are built differently than Denver is. Denver was built around Joker. Well, the Pacers are built around no one, really.
Who do you say? At that point, you don't really know. Like, it could be. I got off track on my last segment of talking, but the Pacers in the next game, Siakam might score 39 again. This is what happened in game one of the New York series. Haliburton hits a big shot, so he's the guy we talk about. You go into game two, and Siakam goes for 39. I mean, he might be the guy we talk about after Sunday's game. You never know, and that's what makes the Pacers different and scary for teams to play against and all of that. But it's just different. Like, they're built different than other teams are, and it's fun to watch. It's a fun style of basketball. I was going to say it earlier when you talked about Haliburton. Did you see somebody that put up the clips of Urkel when they did when they had the episode of Urkel playing basketball?
No,
they put it beside. I'm telling you, go look at it when we're off the show. Go look at it sometime. You will crack up at how funny some of the layups and stuff that he makes look a lot like Haliburton. And I hope that doesn't come across I'm making fun of Haliburton. It's just hilarious how, and that Urkel thing is from a long, long time ago, obviously. but it's hilarious how similar he kind of looks in his movements to Haliburton on the court. And the fun part is I think Haliburton would laugh at that and embrace that. He's not making fun of him. It's pretty funny. And those guys have a good sense of humor, and they're just a fun team to support. And I am happy to be a Pacers fan and excited to be a Pacers fan.
Absolutely. Todd Liry with us, Jim Coyle along as well on this Friday. Indiana Sports Beat rolling along from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Lots more coming up. We're back with it on the other side after these messages.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. Jim Coyle with you and the shot father, Todd Liry from myjumpshot.com. Make sure you got a kid, know a kid, great Christmas presents, birthday presents, don't need a reason for a present. Give them myjumpshot.com and get them some Tyrese Haliburton in their life with the shot father. Man, it's so hard not to talk about the Pacers. Summer workouts have begun, though, for the college boys. Not exactly a fun time in life. It's no matter how much you have pre-workouts going and running, it's still never the same. Once that first day you put the toe on the line and they start running you, that's not all you're going to do, but you're going to do a whole bunch of it. And a lot more than you want to do, let me tell you, because you got to start getting back in shape, and it's not fun.
Yeah,
summer workouts are just not fun.
It's the off season for us as fans. It's not. There's no such thing as an off season for players and athletes at that level. And I can remember we spent every summer down in Bloomington, and Coach Knight had a pretty regimented schedule. I mean, we lifted weights at 5:30 in the morning, and we had to go to summer school classes for that first session. Everybody was required to, no matter what your grades were. And then we had jobs that they got us. I'm sure these guys with NIL probably, I'm assuming, don't have jobs anymore. But, and then we would have basketball workouts late in the afternoon or early in the evening. And that was all summer long. And it's not quite the same. It's not quite as intense from the standpoint of like running sprints and things like that. That'll be more like once school starts, like in August, September. But these guys, they're playing some summer basketball. They're playing, going on a trip, I believe.
Go to Puerto Rico.
Yeah. And so they're practicing a little different, a little harder. They're probably running some plays and doing things like that. But right now, this is week one. They came in Monday, was their first day, all being together on the court, and it's a feeling out process. You're learning right now, especially with the way college basketball is today. Like, now it used to be just the freshmen, would have to get themselves acclimated. Now it's the whole roster is pretty much new, and everybody's feeling each other out, seeing who's good at what, and what your strengths and weaknesses are, what we need to work on, and the coaches are much more involved. It used to only be in the summertime. We might see Coach Knight, 2 or 3 times maybe the whole summer. We'd see the assistants a lot and the managers a ton. But I mean,
Knight was off fishing somewhere,
Yeah,
man, while
yeah.
you all were running your ass off.
yeah, and we didn't run a lot. Like, I know people, it surprises people for me to say we ran sprints, like, even during the season, not just in the summer. Like, preseason is different because you're not running sprints. Coach or Garl had us doing, we had a workout we had to do where we had, like, half-mile sprints and mile runs and different things that we had to do. But during the season and during practice and all that, Coach Knight was not a run sprints guy. Like, there were when we ran sprints, it was because we were in trouble for something big, and it didn't happen all that often. I mean, we probably ran sprints less than 20 times in my whole 5 years of being there, and that was just as we practiced so hard we didn't have to. So but there were those occasions when he didn't like the way something went, and we paid for it. But that just made us practice better and practice harder because we didn't want that to happen again. But these guys, they've got a lot to work on. I know the coaching staff's excited to get out there. I met Coach DeVries last week, and he was so excited to start on Monday, and just could not wait to get going and hear the balls bouncing and the shoes squeaking. And those were his terms. So, yeah, I'm sure this was a fun week for him to get going.
Oh, absolutely. And there's nothing that is more fun when you're in a new place, new job, all of that stuff. There's so much. You want to talk about newness when you're the head guy. You've had to make these hires. You've had to put this staff together. You've had to put this roster together. Now you've got to get them together. You've got to bond. Not only the players, but you with the players. The coach has to bond with these guys because when it's the end of the season and they're playing and where the Pacers are playing right now, you have to have that level of confidence, whether it's in the player, in your coach, whatever it is. And by the time you get to that point, that's where you hope to be. But a long way from that right now, man. We haven't even played Indiana All-Star game yet, which is tonight, actually, tonight and tomorrow night. But how about the juniors not jumping off subject, beating the seniors?
I mean, it's not that surprising. It's kind of the same scenario. You get a bunch of guys thrown together. They haven't practiced very much. They don't know what everybody else is really good at or not good at, and that's not the first time that's happened. And it's not that surprising to me. But it just tells you the talent level that the juniors have. It does tell you that. Yeah,
Luke Ertl, he's really been
legit.
popping. He is 36 points in that game against the seniors. That broke a record by Greg Oden. So that's been sitting there for quite some time. But yeah, he is. And he's just a junior. He's got another year of high school yet. So I guess Darren DeVries can still work on flipping him from Purdue. You want to talk about pissing off Purdue fans? There would be nothing in the history of the IU Purdue series, I think, than if Indiana was able to flip their star player coming in, especially an in-state, home state player like Luke Ertl. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but boy, oh boy, it would go the opposite way. Can you imagine if it was the opposite?
Yeah.
If Purdue flipped to Indiana, you want to talk about war, baby. That would be the beginning of it.
Yeah, and it is different now, and I'm sure it's not great, but for Purdue and the other in-state schools. But I mean, the past several years, recruiting high school kids in the state of Indiana has not been a top priority. And I do think it will become, with this coaching staff, I think it will become more of a priority. Probably not the biggest priority, but it'll become a bigger priority than it was. And Luke Ertl is a lot like, and I'm only saying this from his recruitment standpoint, but he's a lot like Braden Smith was, in that he did not have a ton of big time offers before the Purdue offer. He'll get a lot more now. Once Purdue offers him, then other schools, kind of jump on board. They're like, whoa, wait a minute, we better look at this guy. But Matt Painter is great at finding those guys before everyone else does. And Braden Smith was one of those guys that he found. And Luke Ertl, he's a different type of player, but not better or worse in a lot of regards. And so, I watched him play. He played on Trent Sicily's AAU team. He played up a year last year. So I saw him play a lot. And he made a ton of big shots. He's a little different type of, he was a point guard on that team, and he was a little different type point guard because he scores a lot. But yeah, he is one of those players that Matt Painter found before everyone else, just like a Braden Smith. And being an in-state kid like that, yeah. I mean, it would be a big deal to be able to flip somebody like that, but I don't even think that's, I'd be surprised if Indiana's even attempting to do something like that. That's kind of dirty pool, and I know some schools don't worry about that, but I'm not sure Coach DeVries wants to jump into that category, and I doubt he's even thinking about it.
That or saying, "Hey, we're here," throwing a grenade in it right to start it off, man.
Yeah.
But no, I understand what you're saying there. But yeah, it's getting past this first team is what Darren DeVries has to worry about. Getting this team together, knowing who's whom. He has to find out who his Tyrese Haliburton is. He has to find out who his Pascal Siakam is. Is it going to be Josh? Is it going to be who's going to serve what role on this team? He has to find that out because he doesn't know yet. None of us know yet because the guys don't even know yet. They have to establish. Right. You talked about Calvert establish himself day one. Well,
yep.
These guys now, this is their opportunity to start establishing themselves. Who's going to be that guy that you look to? Who's going to be the guy that the team has that confidence in? And yeah, it's way early, but it starts now, as you know, because you start to form that impression on guys early on, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the one of the benefits I do think that Coach DeVries has is his son is on the team. And his son's not just on the team. His son is most likely going to be one of the best players on the team. He's so good. Like Tucker DeVries is, I don't know that we've given him the credit. He was hurt a lot last year at West Virginia, but 2 years ago I watched that Drake team play a lot, and he's good. He's really, really good. And so, they kind of have someone they have a little bit of a foundation, something to build around. But outside of him, you're right. I don't think the coaching staff knows a ton about how the pieces are going to fit. And this is where you have that opportunity to go in and I said it last week on the show. This is you can reinvent yourself as a player right now. The coaching staff has never seen you live or hasn't seen you much live playing in person. And so you get to kind of establish what you're good at and what the things and the coaching staff establishes what you need to work on. And so that's what I'm sure this first week where there was a lot of probably 5-on-5 playing would be my guess. Just so that they can kind of see who's good at what and what roles guys are going to initially be put into. Now, it doesn't mean that's set in stone, obviously. But I think that first week is big on making an impression on the coaches. The biggest thing you can do as a player in that first week is play hard. I mean, if you're diving on the floor, and I don't care just because it's summer basketball and all that, you better be diving on the floor. Like, if there's a loose ball, you better go get it. And you just playing hard stands out a lot. And you want to be known in that first week as a tough, gritty, hard-nosed player. And coaches love that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. What's the weekend looking like? Golf in the future?
Man, I'd love to see the rain get out of that forecast. I would like to play some golf, but yeah, it's looking forward to Sunday with the Pacers game. That 8:00 start. Don't love that. 8:30 was rough for me to stay up.
I was wondering. I'm like, Todd Liry did not see the end of this game.
Yeah,
I
did. If it had to been the Pacers, I wouldn't have. I promise you that. But yeah, I was close to closing an eye here or there when they were down by 9 in the fourth quarter. I was close to winking off, but no, I stayed up and watched it, and the closer it got, the bigger my attention became, and I was excited. The end of that game, I jumped up. I scared the heck out of Jessica again last night. She did not stay up; she was asleep. But unfortunately for her, she got woken up to me screaming at the. He did it again. Is I think exactly what I said, and yeah, I'm sure my neighbors heard it too because it was loud and it was fun. And boy, I was amped up. I couldn't go to sleep after that. Like that was, after that shot, I could not go back to sleep, and it was a fun time.
Yes, it was, brother. Well, be safe, have fun, enjoy your weekend, and we'll chat with you again next week, man.
Can't wait. Appreciate it.
You, buddy. Have a great one. Todd Liry, the Todd Father, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got plenty more coming up on the other side. From the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios, Zach Osterman will join us. Alec Lazley will join us as well. So plenty to get to. We're back with it on the other side.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios on this Friday. It is the end of the week, baby. And just time to relax. Not a lot going on this weekend. You do have the Kentucky-Indiana All-Star Series tonight and tomorrow night as the seniors will go at it. Kentucky with an opportunity. Can they shake things up this year? Can they pull the sweep on Indiana, or will Indiana split the series? I don't think that I see Indiana sweeping this series this year, but we'll see. They may have to borrow Tyrese Haliburton, knock some shots down. But that game goes off tonight and tomorrow. The juniors knocked off the seniors earlier this week, and see if the seniors can bounce back. As Braylon Mullins said, it's a good little wake-up call for them. And we'll see how that turns out. But a lot of basketball going on. Of course, it's Indiana, and it's June, but Pacers playing, All-Stars playing. You've got the colleges and summer workouts, and football also. They've got their deal going. But, of course, it is Indiana. We're talking basketball. But we'll be talking about everything. How's your weekend looking? Kind of calm, really, for once. Not a ton of things that on the dais that has to be done this weekend. So a little nicer, a little relaxing. You'll have when's game 2 of the NBA playoff, by the way. I know that they stretch them out now, man. It's not like the the conference finals when they're every other day. Next game doesn't come up until Sunday. So that's not too bad. That's back to the 3 day. That's back to the normal 3-day stretch out. They'll meet up again on a Sunday night, 8 p.m. Oklahoma City, 10.5-point favorite right now on the ESPN bet line. Now, I know a lot of you may be interested in jumping on that after last night's game. My personal, I wouldn't. They're gonna bounce back. Zach Osterman, speaking of Oklahoma City, Zach is out in Oklahoma City covering the NBA Finals, at least this portion of it for the Indy Stars. Zach, are you there?
Yeah, sorry. I've had some hotel internet issues here this morning. I apologize.
No worries. I understand, brother. And I know it's a little earlier than expected or normal out there, but how was the game last night?
I tell you what, that arena is about as loud as any, I mean, I know there's kind of the pro versus college thing. And listen, there is an extent to which, when you've got students and you can kind of mix that into your atmosphere. It's always going to be a little bit different. But I was incredibly impressed with how loud that arena was last night, which obviously made Indiana's comeback, equally impressive, if not more so, because it sounded like a Canadian hockey arena, like start to finish. It was just on fire until obviously kind of that moment when when the Pacers put it out, so to speak.
Yeah, and I get that because Oklahoma City, they don't have a Major League Baseball team. They don't have a pro football team. They don't have a hockey team. It's rodeo and basketball is what they have, man. So they have it all to themselves as far as fandom. And what's not to love? They've got a great team, a young team, and I'm sure that they were just accustomed to winning because that's all Oklahoma City has done this year. And but man, oh man, Tyrese Haliburton, what is this guy is just unconscious right now. This whole team is, but I was just talking with Todd Liry. This team has such an unbelievable amount of confidence, not only in itself, but and a lot of teams have their superstar. Well, this team has confidence in Tyrese making the shot, in Nembhard making a shot, in Nesmith making a shot, hell, right down to Thomas Bryant making a shot. Now, you probably don't want a last-second game-winning shot on the game on the line, shot in, say, Thomas Bryant's hands, not because he's not capable of making it. You're going to want it in Tyrese's hands, whatnot. But they have so many guys that are capable of hurting you. This is proven to be more problematic for teams than I think people gave the Pacers credit for.
Yeah, I mean, I thought last night at least kind of made sense when you talk about the comeback in insofar as we knew the 3-point line needed to be a bit of an equalizer for the Pacers in this series. That, the Thunder, with what they've done this season and, with that, kind of three-headed monster of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, obviously, but then Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, and then you've got all these complementary pieces like Hartenstein and Caruso. The one thing the Pacers have done so well in this postseason, better than anyone else, is shoot the three. They're the only team in the postseason specifically coming into play last night that was shooting better than 40% from behind the three-point line as a team. And for all the talk about turnovers in that first half, and they kept committing them, but they were limiting the impact of them and all that. The one thing the Thunder were doing that kind of wasn't allowing the Pacers to gain any advantage was the Thunder were hitting threes too. I think it was 8-7 in made threes at halftime. But the Thunder basically just stopped hitting shots. I mean, in the fourth quarter, the Pacers hit 6 threes. The Thunder hit none. And so when we talk about the anatomy of these different comebacks, and I think you can give the Pacers credit for, again, making those mistakes, but limiting the impact of those mistakes. As you said, the Pacers are a very balanced team. I mean, last night, 6 players in double figures in scoring, compared to, I think, just 3, maybe 4 for the Thunder. But it at least, listen, if you play a quarter where one team hits five threes or 6 threes and the other team hits none, then it's going to get lopsided quick. And that's pretty much what happened last night. If you want to just get down to the numbers of basically why Oklahoma City faded as fast as it did. And that is not that, I guess what I would say is that's not a surprise in the sense that has been part of the Pacers winning formula for 2 years is Haliburton and, obviously to a slightly lesser extent, Aaron Nesmith running the show, pulling the strings and bringing a lot of different talented, dangerous shooters into the offense. And the Thunder just couldn't get a hold of it when it mattered last night.
Yeah, and this Pacer team has been more than happy to play the role. I think I sent out a tweet the other day that the Pacers are huge underdogs going into the NBA Finals, exactly where they want to be. They want people to keep dissing them, to keep ignoring them, to keep not giving them a chance. They love that because they believe in each other. Rick Carlisle has done a masterful job with this team, and he continues to stay out of the way, but just make the moves when he needs to make the moves. I mean, he's the right guy at the right time for this team, it seems.
No, I mean, listen, that is, and I think has to be, one of the advantages for Indiana in this series is as good as Mark Dagnall's been with Oklahoma City, and he's been there for a while now. It's not like this is his first year. But, even he said last night, somebody asked him basically, because they pointed out he's one of the most one of the longest tenured coaches in the NBA now. And he said, do you feel like a coaching veteran? And he said, not when I'm coaching against Rick Carlisle. I feel like a rookie. That has to be one of the Pacers' great strengths if they're going to win this series is Carlisle's, obviously his ability as a coach, but also his experience as a coach. He's been in these moments. He has coached in the finals before. He's won the finals before. He's coached teams that went deep into the playoffs. He's coached, if you think about the finals that he won, he's coached a team that wasn't given much of a chance. That Mavs team was facing the LeBron Heat and was supposed to be a, just kind of a walkover for the LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh, sort of coronation, I guess. And I think, again, I think you could see in different ways some of that experience show last night, not just with Carlisle, but with the Pacers in general. Because, again, if you want to talk about experience, the Thunder are a very young team. The Pacers aren't that old, but the Pacers were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. The Pacers have multiple guys who've got rings. So they've got multiple guys who have sort of walked this path, this journey of how you get to a finals, how you win in a finals. And, it's just one win. We've seen plenty of examples of teams, grabbing that first one and then not holding up. But the other thing that sticks with me is just, I don't think the Pacers were getting enough credit in general for how well they were playing coming into these finals. And this happens a lot in baseball where a team will play 500 baseball for, 4 months and we'll kind of lose track of them. And they'll make a late season run and get into the playoffs, but they won't seem like much. And you won't realize that for like the last 2 months of the season, they've suddenly gone up to a 100 win pace or a 104 win pace. And the Pacers, obviously, for a variety of reasons, had a bit of a slow start to the season. there was some expectation coming on them coming into this season after what happened last season. And there was kind of this feeling that maybe they didn't rise to meet it initially. And again, there were some external factors. They had injuries and things. But I think we maybe lost track of the Pacers a little bit. And we ignore the fact that this team has been playing at a finals caliber pace for, at least 3 or 4 months now, if not 5. And I think there's maybe a little bit of, when you talk about the experience and you talk about how comfortable are the Pacers as an underdog, that probably plays into it a little bit too.
Yeah, they got off to a bad start to the season. They weren't a favorite anyway. They had to fight their way from a lower seed to get up to the 4th seed. Not at all thought to be an impact team going into the playoffs. And then people, I think outside of Indiana, people just maybe saw them as still able to squeak by. Still, Gritty pointed out earlier, Vegas has them as a 10.5-point underdog in game 2 coming up. Part of that is probably a lot of things go into that scenario. But Oklahoma City's not done. They had this scenario with Denver as well. But the thing is, I think that again, this all goes back to the Pacers are just a different beast. They don't have one guy you can focus on. They don't even have 2 guys you can focus on. And it is, I don't think NBA teams are accustomed to that, especially at the right time. And as you just pointed out, the Pacers are clicking. They are, not to steal a pun, but they're firing on all cylinders, man. And they are. And that is the key for this team. And their cylinders have gotten bigger and they're putting on more horsepower now.
Yeah, I do think, listen, the likelihood is in the end, Oklahoma City will win game 2. This series will go back to Indiana at 1 apiece. And then we'll kind of see what happens when we flip the court and, the Pacers get home court for 2 games. If you're Indiana, I don't think they'll think about it this way, but it is a little bit mission accomplished. When you've stolen a game on the road against the team with the best record in the NBA. I do think the nature of that game was a little bit different, though, because if you had doubts about the Thunder, a lot of them would have started with a young team on a big stage for the first time and how it managed that, stage, how it managed the pressure of being a prohibitive favorite. I think someone told me last night the Thunder were maybe the heaviest betting favorite pre-series in like 7 years. And obviously I'd be surprised if Oklahoma City is looking at betting lines, but it's going to be impossible to escape that sense that you are the prohibitive favorite to win this series, that all the pressure and all the expectation lies with you. And then your concern about that all kind of manifests itself in a young team losing a game in the ways a young team would lose that game. Not taking advantage of the Pacers when they were really struggling. Obviously that manifests itself in not scoring enough points. Oklahoma City was an excellent transition team all season, not scoring enough points in those transition moments off turnovers to really bury the Pacers. I thought even as good as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was in the fourth quarter, and he was really good, I thought there were a couple of moments where you sort of thought, hey, an MVP could be more assertive here. But the game just starts to kind of go away from the Thunder in general, and suddenly you can almost sense a little bit. It's really easy to say, oh, they were rattled, or oh, they were, they lost their nerve. But it did feel a little bit like, that they led that game so comfortably for so long that suddenly you kind of snap your fingers and Indiana's right back in it. And I thought you saw a young team look, I mean, for lack of a better term, look young. And if you had concerns about the Thunder coming into this series, a lot of them manifested, or a lot of them would have centered on that. Would have centered on how does this team handle it when you're talking about, ultimately a group that doesn't have a lot of experience, that, certainly doesn't have a lot of experience at this end of the playoffs. What do they do? How do they navigate against a Pacers team that is very clearly not bothered by a lot of those things? When we talk about all the comeback wins and all the wins on the road in this postseason, and really, if you want to stack it up, all the wins on the road in the last 2 years, in the last 2 playoff runs. How would the Thunder handle that? And, just frankly, they didn't on Thursday night. Now, in the game of he who wins sets the narrative, if that Haliburton jumper doesn't go in, we're not having this conversation. If it's not like the Pacers came back and won by 12. If that Haliburton jumper is short, then we're saying commendable comeback, but the Pacers dug themselves too deep a hole and they really can't afford to do that again. So, these narratives always turn on very tight, very tight outcomes basically within games. But like I said, if you were concerned about the Thunder coming into this series, that game manifested, some of those concerns in a pretty meaningful way.
I agree 1,000%. How long are you just covering this game for?
I'll be here through game 2.
Okay. Well, enjoy Oklahoma City. Go have yourself some Whataburger today, man. Go treat yourself on me, my friend.
I'm going to look for some barbecue, I think, today. So we'll see what we can find.
There you go. I hope you find it all, man. Enjoy it. Appreciate you very much, Zach.
Thanks, Jim. Good talking to you.
Thank you. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star covering the NBA Finals games 1 and 2 in Oklahoma City for the Star, as our friend Dustin DePirick will pick up coverage after that. He'll be back with us on Monday to talk about it. So we've got a lot going on, and Alec Lazley should be up next from thehoosier.com, joining us as we're coming to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this glorious Friday. We're back with more after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. Man, Alec Lazley joining us, and man, it's been a Pacers love fest today, but of course, as it should be after last night's thrilling last-second win again by the Pacers as Tyrese Haliburton. Man, the Pacers may not be a betting favorite, but, buddy, I would not bet against Tyrese Haliburton. I think right now you could take him to one of those carnivals where the rim's about this big. They give you the full-size basketball. He'd still make the damn shot.
Yeah, only if they put a under 5 second timer on there, because let's be frank, right? He didn't really show up in the first 3 quarters of that game. Didn't really show up for the majority of that one. Really struggled, I think, with the physicality that the Thunder bring from the backcourt perspective, and I think that was the one thing that was probably the most concerning part heading into this series, was just a little bit of that physical play could potentially move or shift Tyrese a little bit off the ball, and we saw that late in the fourth quarter. The ball was in Andrew Nembhard's hands every single possession coming down the floor. And because he has a little bit more of that shiftiness and craftiness with the ball in his hands to get around, whether it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, whatever defender they throw at their guards. And that was one concern again coming into the series with Tyrese, but it didn't matter. Obi Toppin had a phenomenal game after the first 2.5 minutes of his performance, where he had 3 turnovers right off the bat, and the moment looked way too big for him. He really settled in, really steadied the team, and hit some big time shots throughout the majority of that game. Was very key. Obviously, Thomas Bryant had some big minutes and some big impact in the first half, and kind of keeping that game within striking distance. And the crazy thing is, right? I mean, they had what was it, 20 turnovers, 19 turnovers in the first half. But the biggest negative then for the Thunder was they were not able to convert on a lot of those opportunities. And that's the thing, right? You look at what the Thunder were limited to, and they really struggled to knock down open shots. They really struggled to get out fully in transition consistently, because the Pacers did a decent job, I'll say, getting back in transition on any of those turnovers. The good thing was a lot of those were in the Thunder backcourt, right? So you did have some time to actually set your defense. Not a lot of it was kind of in the helter-skelter full court transition game. But yeah, I think you have to be very confident as a Pacers fan, as anyone on that roster, that you didn't get a lot from Tyrese outside of the game winner there. Siakam played good, but wasn't great. You had 24, 25 turnovers, and you didn't get spectacular play out of anyone, right? I mean, we've seen Obi Toppin do this from time to time. Andrew Nembhard's hit big shots dating back to last year. Nesmith hit the shots that he needed to, but didn't go crazy, right? Miles Turner didn't have a great game. Had the banked-in 3 that sent Indiana fans obviously into a crazy there. But all in all, Pacers played average. And they were able to come out with that win. And that's the crazy thing is you just the Thunder, and this goes back to the Cavs game. There's been so many comebacks now, but game 1 or 2, right, where they came back from 21 down or 20 down. But there's just so many opportunities for all these teams, even the Knicks in game 1, to really put the Pacers away. And no team has figured out how to do that. They'll stretch the lead to a certain point, and then I was listening to Tyrese after the game last night, and he's like, all we were trying to do was get it down to 15. Then once we got it to 15, then just get it down to 10. Then once it's 10, you really feel like you can get it down to 5, and then once you get it down to 5 or 6, right, anything can happen. And so the inability for teams to put away the Pacers team is incredible. The fight that this team has.
But can they be put away? This is the team you're like,
Yeah, I don't know if he can be put away because they don't care. It's like they don't care what you throw at them.
No, but that's the crazy thing, because I think the Thunder probably are the one team in the NBA that match up positively on the opposite end, right? I mean, they have so many different players that you can throw at Tyrese Haliburton. You have so many different players that you can throw at anyone on the wing, and they match up so well with the Pacers in that sense. And they're so physical and they're so long. And the Pacers' one inability all year, and even dating back to last year with this group and this makeup, is sometimes their inability to beat players off of the dribble and do it consistently. And when you have the physical defenders that you do with the Thunder, that's why all those turnovers were happening in the beginning, because they were trying to force the issue. Yes, and that's just not who they are. But it was an exciting game, and should be obviously an exciting rest of the series here moving into what game 2's on Sunday. So,
yeah, I talked about it relentlessly that I thought that the Pacers just had to win one of the first 2 games if they were going to have a chance in this series. Didn't expect it to be game 1 on the last second one. Boom, it comes. They get it. The thing is, the pressure is off of them now, for the moment. But you can't relax, because they're just one home loss away from that game being for nothing, and you hand home court advantage back, and Oklahoma City's not going to just fade away. Did you wake them up? We saw what happened in the Denver series? They lost that game to Denver. Well, the next game was not pretty for the Nuggets. They get beat by like 200 in the next game. It was
crazy. Well, they've it's like a NBA playoffs history of 4 or 5 wins by 30 plus points this postseason. So I mean, they know how to run teams out of the gym. That's why I think it was so crazy that the Pacers do great coming from behind. The Thunder do great putting teams away, and so it was interesting to see the dynamic there of who was going to win that game. And the crazy thing is, obviously they did a phenomenal job on Jalen Williams. I think he was only 6 and 19 or maybe 5 and 18 from the floor. They're the 3rd team All NBA guard playing alongside obviously Shea. But they made Shai Gilgeous-Alexander work for every single bucket. I mean, he had 38, but he had 33 shots, 34 shots, right? I mean, this is a guy who lives at the foul line and really didn't live at the foul line last night. They were forcing him to take difficult twos. They were forcing him to take difficult shots in general, and they did so without fouling, or at least fouling when he was going towards the rim. And that's the biggest thing. Once you get this Thunder team in a role of getting to the foul line every single possession, which they've shown all season that they continuously do. But if you're able to limit them in that aspect, right, I think that tends to be very, very positive from a Pacers perspective. And they're one of the only teams that I think you can look at from a wing versatility perspective and say, hey, we have 3 guys that we could potentially throw at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and at Jalen Williams to really make life difficult for him. And the only other thing I'll say is, right, Lou Dort hit, I think, 5 or 6 threes last night. He's not hitting 5 or 6 threes in a game the rest of this series. That's not his game. He'll hit 2, but he's not a guy who's going to kill you from the 3-point line. And that's one thing that, again, just goes in the Pacers' favor. But they need to be ready for game 2. But all in all, I thought it would either be the Thunder in 7 or the Pacers in 6, because the Thunder weren't going to win game 6 in Indy. And so I think it still obviously favors Pacers in 6 at this point. They just have I hate to say a team of destiny, because they're better than that, but it's but everyone talks about the magical ride that they're on. They've been the 2nd best team in the NBA since January.
Yeah, they haven't lucked into where they are
exactly.
Right now.
That's
they
why
have
I hate
earned
to say
everything they have.
Yeah, that's why I hate to say that, because these have clearly been the 2 best teams, and you're seeing it. I mean, that was a phenomenal game from for the majority of that second half. Obviously, the first half was a little bit chaotic, but I think the NBA has to be pretty excited about 2 quote unquote mid-market non-major city teams doing pretty well in game 1.
Putting on a show on top of that. Putting on a great show. But not only that, I don't boy, if the Pacers were to go on and win the NBA championship with this team that has been assembled, that does not have, I mean, Tyrese Haliburton is becoming a superstar. I don't know that I could put him in that list right now. But he's sure earned the shots. He's hit the superstar shots. But this is not a team that has SGA. This is a team, but that's to their advantage. And it's crazy that this team, I mean, at the beginning of the season, buddy, I bet, oh man, what could you have gotten the Pacers for to win the NBA Finals? I mean, this would have been as almost, not quite, but almost as good a numbers as you could have gotten on Indiana football last year.
And after the 10-15 start.
Yeah. So we'll see if they can do the unthinkable. And this would be one of the most unlikely professional championships that I can in recent memory. I'm trying to think real quick of baseball, of basketball, of everything. This is, man, it's not the Celtics. It's not the Cavaliers, not the Knicks. It's not, if it wasn't going to be Oklahoma City or Denver with Joe, but the Pacers were far down that line of where people thought that who could win this.
Yeah, which is crazy because they don't have the, you know, the sexy names and the star power per se, right? Is the reason why not a lot of people paid attention to them. But it will, once again, I mean, this is a team that, albeit got, you know, pretty handled in the conference finals last year, right? It was a team that pretty much came back the exact same way that they made it there last year, right? But you get a healthy Benedict Mathurin, you get a healthier Tyrese Haliburton, and this group now is, you know, really found their rhythm over the last 2.5 months. And this has been a phenomenal team, and it's a team that, you know, it plays the way basketball should be played, right? I mean, you have, yes, your star in Tyrese, but, you know, any given night, 2, 3, 4 other guys can go off for 20 plus. You're going to consistently get 5 guys in double figures, if not 6, right? And that makes it so difficult for opposing teams to really lock in on someone because any of those guys can go off, right? We've seen Mathurin have big nights in the postseason. Obviously, what Tyrese has been able to do, Pascal Siakam, the Aaron Nesmith game, right? The one guy that really hasn't, you know, had a phenomenal shooting and scoring postseason is Andrew Nembhard, and I think that's the key for this team, this series. And you saw the big shot that he hit, that step back 3, which was critical last night with about 2 minutes left, to I think cut it to 2. But that's the one guy who's had a lot of open shots. He's gotten to his spots, that elbow, you know, free throw line, extended elbow jumper numerous times. He just has not been able to convert consistently. That's a guy where if he's able to do that, obviously what he's doing defensively is terrific, but if he's able to do that offensively, that's just going to bring an entirely new dimension to this team in this postseason. He showed it last year. He showed it all season. He just has really struggled this postseason consistently with his jumper. So I think that's the real key for the Pacers moving forward in the rest of this series to potentially, you know, win the NBA Finals. If they do, I think it's because Andrew Nembhard starts hitting some more of those shots consistently.
Yeah, the real Doc Bob points out that Oklahoma City only had 11 points off of the 25 Pacer turnovers. Whoo! What, they have 19 of those turnovers came in the first half, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think they only had that.
They handed the ball to everybody but you, man.
Yeah, I think they only had they had 9 points off turnovers in the first half. So that would make sense, right? Because I think they only had 4 or 5 in the turnovers in the second. So, you know, 2 points off of that would make sense. But yeah, they just were unable to convert, and that was obviously a big reason for them, you know, struggling to build it from, you know, 14, 15 points to 20, 25, 27, which it could have been. The Pacers really, really struggled in the first half there, and somehow you felt great with the 12-point deficit, which I think it was 12 or 13 going into the half.
Absolutely. Alec Lazley from the Hoosier.com is with us. We're talking the Pacers' big-time win last night, but we've got lots more to talk about as the All-Star games begin tonight. Well, the seniors versus seniors, Kentucky versus Indiana. We've got plenty more as summer workouts have begun as well. We'll get to all that and more on the other side of this break. From the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios, we're back with it right after this. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Rye, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Speaking of Hard Truth, coming up this month, June 27th and 28th, out at the Distilling Company campus there in Nashville. Barbecue and bourbon. Whoo! I'm in. I don't need to know anymore. I'm in. Just sign me up, save me a chair, and point me to the barbecue. I can smell the bourbon. I know where that is, baby. Alec Lazley from the Hoosier.com with us. And, man, it's been busy, and it doesn't stop. I talked earlier. I go like, man, we're not going to be done with this NBA playoffs until mid-June. We've got Indiana All-Stars now. July, we will have the Big Ten football media days. August, you're right back at it with the trip to Puerto Rico. Man, where the hell did the offseason go?
Yeah, it's there is none, right? Especially with a coaching change, 11 new players, workout starting this week. You had a little bit of a kind of lull after the first live recruiting period.
Who did?
But
You might have.
Well, no, I'm teasing. In terms of a overall schedule perspective, and then you get right into the live weekend, not next weekend, but the weekend after. So in 2 weeks here, you'll have Charlie Hughes, one of the biggest events in the state from a high school basketball perspective, which we'll be at. All the
Now
top
that's
talent.
in Fort Wayne, right? Still in Fort Wayne.
No, that's in Carmel, Westfield area. Yeah. So the girls are going next week, and then the guys are the week after. So we'll be out there. That'll be the first. The coaches were at the state finals, right? But that was right fresh off of not even the assistants being announced yet. But we'll see a huge presence from this coaching staff. It'll be the first big local event that they'll be at here in a couple weeks. So.
Well, and there's a lot more of a compilation of players to look at. State finals, you had a few guys here. Most guys are already committed. It's more about making a presence.
This is actually out watching guys.
Yeah.
You go to watch a guy, but you may find somebody that you didn't know that you expected to go watch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is typically, been the past couple of years, right? But it's been more or less kind of looking for future Indiana targets, because we know the struggle with the state that this coaching staff had at times, this previous one, I should say, right? And their, sometimes, lack of visibility on the recruiting trail, right? So, I expect a, fully in the middle of all the action, Darren DeVries, in the next coming weeks. And then you have a little time off, kind of that middle portion of the summer, and then you get right back into the Adidas Finals, Peach Jam, everything from an AAU perspective, the kind of finishing off portion in the beginning of July, and then you get right into Big Ten Football Media Day. Eventually, obviously, Basketball Media Day, Big Ten Football Media Day out in Las Vegas this year. So that'll be a vastly different perspective from the Big Ten aspect of things. And then you get right into Puerto Rico. So the next 4 or 5 weeks are really the core weeks from a Indiana basketball perspective, right? Of really being able to lock down and get a lot of this player development in. Obviously they have limits of what they can do. The good thing is with going to Puerto Rico and your international trip, you get 10 extra practice days. You get additional time on the court. And that's a big reason for, why a lot of first-year head coaches with a new program do these international trips. Yes, it's for, to have the chemistry, the team bonding, but a lot of it is also to, get extra practice time. And especially when you have a new system to throw in there, you have 11 new guys who've never played together. That's a critical aspect before you get into the season. So they'll be breaking it up there. And DeVries talked about it, how they'll kind of add a few hours here, a few hours there, get a little bit more on-court work with the team in general. Because a lot of this stuff here over the next few weeks are limited to, big men work or guard work, right? You can't have the full group on the floor at the same time. So a lot of it's in smaller segments, and smaller time segments as well. So you'll be able to get additional on-court time with the full roster there, with this additional 10 days that they have of practice. And that's going to be obviously, as you know, very, very critical to set this team up for success starting on day one. Obviously still a ways away, but when November comes.
Yeah, they need all the time together that they can get, because this is also a team that I've talked many times that they kind of remind me of the Pacers in that they don't have per se a set superstar that we know of yet. Tucker DeVries might be the closest to filling that role. Can he be Indiana's Tyrese Haliburton? Can he be the guy that is just always there to hit a shot? Can somebody else step up to be the Pascal Siakam? Can they just have a team that is not built on one particular guy, but able to count on multiple guys? We'll find out, because we have no way of knowing until we're going to be deep into the season. We won't know about this team at Puerto Rico. We won't know about this team in November. I'm not sure that we'll even know about this team in December. It's going to take a while for us to really see them start playing more games and against the higher caliber opponents.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting, right? I mean, I had a story up about this, right? Kind of the 5 key storylines to follow here with summer workouts starting and going into, first couple weeks of workouts and practice. But I think all expectation is, right, it's Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson is 1A, 1B in some capacity, right? Your Batman and Robin duo there. And you're going to see a lot of how Darren DeVries ran the West Virginia offense with Javon Small and Tucker DeVries, and Tucker DeVries' ability to play off the ball and his versatility. I was talking with Jordan Basie, now with Hoosiers Connect, but big time local Indianapolis trainer who's been working out with Tucker DeVries and a lot of the players here over the last few weeks, but specifically about Tucker, because a lot of Indiana fans, right, don't know a lot about him. Only played 8 games last year. Probably didn't follow him pretty closely at Drake. And the one thing that he consistently said when talking with him about Tucker DeVries is how versatile he is, how much more of a fully rounded offensive player he is and not just a shooter. Everyone knows him as a shooter because that's obviously what the key skill set that he brings is. But his ability to create so many different mismatches, play in the post, play at the high elbow, right, the low elbow, on the block, whatever the case may be, his size and his versatility, and mainly what Jordan was saying was his strength and his ability to seek out contact and finish through contact. Tucker DeVries is an old guy, right? He's an old college player. He's been around for a long time, and he's played in physical systems and in physical conferences. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't know about him. So it's good to get that insight because I think you're going to see a lot of what Indiana do offensively revolve around the mismatches that Tucker DeVries is going to create. And that's going to open up. It's twofold, right? The amount of shooters that Indiana has on the floor is going to help create those mismatches and help create this offense. But the mismatches that DeVries is going to be able to bring when he's on the floor is going to open up so much more for these shooters that are now around him, right? He didn't have those shooters at West Virginia. Indiana hasn't had this type of versatility from a 6'7" kind of point combo guard that Tucker DeVries is, who can play both on and off the ball in quite some time. And then you don't have the shooters, clearly. That's been well documented, right? The shooters that Indiana brings in quite some time. So the offense is going to be, very much, I think, predicated around what Lamar Wilkerson can do creating for himself and scoring the ball. But a lot of it's going to also rely on those mismatches and the versatility and the different lineups now that you're going to be able to throw all over the floor because of what Tucker DeVries can do both on and off the ball. And I think that's an underrated aspect to it. I think the X factor for me when it comes to this team and the ceiling is going to be what Josh Harris can do in the front court. The expectation, right? Reed Bailey probably going to be that 4. The versatility that he has offensively is there, but I think in order for this team to be able to reach its goal here of obviously making the NCAA tournament and advancing, I think it's going to be predicated around what Josh Harris can do from a rim running offensive perspective. We heard, right, Darren DeVries talk about the true undersized 5s that they have, and that they probably will struggle to defend the rim in that aspect. But he also said that there's numerous ways to defend the rim without having a true shot blocker. And he's gone through this numerous times again, even dating back to his Drake days of not having true shot blocking 5s, but always finishing in the top 40, top 50, multiple times of defensive efficiency, right? So he has numerous ways to do that. So I'm not worried about that end. But when you have so many ball handlers and playmakers on the floor, you need a very good pick and roll rim running 5, and that's what Josh Harris can bring. And so I'm very interested to see how he develops. Had a great freshman year, right, at North Florida, averaged 13 a game and about 7 rebounds. But 80% of his shots are in the paint from last year. That's where he's gonna make his money for Indiana this year. And with the amount of shooters that are going to be on the floor, that floor spacing and the ability to take up the entire paint is going to be there for him. And so if he's not able to finish at the efficiency that he was last year, if he struggles, right, that's going to be interesting to watch how Indiana can kind of work around that, because I don't, Sam Alexis is not a guy who's going to be able to come in and score 10 a game consistently from an offensive standpoint. He's more of a versatile defender, and I think you're going to get that from his shot blocking ability when he is on the floor and his offensive rebounding perspective and ability. But, Josh Harris is a guy that I think you need in order to see what this ceiling can be, because he has that sort of pop and athleticism that you need when you have so many dynamic playmakers and pass first guards at the ball handling spots.
What kind of team will put Indiana defensively in a situation that may strain them because of how they are set up in the front court with having athletic players? Just not a lot of length, but there are just teams that are built the opposite, that are built with length and not so much athleticism. What's going to make it difficult for this Indiana team?
I mean, We'll see, right? I mean, it's going to be interesting because it has so much versatility on both ends of the floor that I think that's going to create a lot of good mismatches for them on both ends, right? And so I think you're going to see Indiana really be able to get out in transition a lot more because they're going to be so good from a defensive perspective on the perimeter. I think just the biggest thing, right, is, what happens if you get in foul trouble in the front court. I think that, everyone, this is not a secret by any means. And then Darren DeVries, again, has talked about it numerous times, right? He feels good about where the front court is, but the depth is not there from a proven standpoint at this level. Right. Your fourth guy is Trent Sicily, and he's, 6'7", 6'8", but he's a more perimeter oriented forward, right? He's not a true big. So the size there of only having, your tallest true post defender be 6'9" at Sam Alexis, because Reed Bailey is more on the Trent Sicily kind of hybrid aspect. You can play out on the perimeter and defend out on the perimeter. I think that's the biggest thing, is just what happens when you do get into some of these matchups where they do pack it in, and you're going to have to try to defend the rim, because what if you get in foul trouble? What if there's an injury? Where does this team go? It's going to have to play small a lot. And I think that's the one, you can look at it both ways, right? The one negative and also the one positive, because a lot of teams that do very successful in college nowadays are the teams that have, maybe not even a true center, but just have 5 athletes out on the floor. And so I think that's the only thing. I think scoring and shooting, I should say, from the point guard spot could be a challenge at times. We've seen Connor Enright really do well in Darren DeVries' system. His best year was a sophomore year, shot about 43% from 3. But Tatum Conaway is not a shooter, and he's a guy who's probably going to have the ball in his hands a lot, creating. Definitely a slasher and a driver first. I think you're going to see a lot of those. Jason Drake is probably kind of that X factor in the backcourt because of his ability to shoot the ball. But then again, he's not a true point guard. But I think that's probably the one other question, right? The potentially the size in the front court, which we've talked about numerous times, but then the shooting at the point guard spot is probably that second concern that you have from a consistent perspective.
Yeah, and man, oh man, has this staff gotten out and gotten busy with recruiting. I mean, we act like that this is not what goes on in college athletics, but we're not used to seeing this. At least we weren't used to seeing it for several years. But they wasted no time. Once this staff was put together, this team was put together, boom, they hit the road. You mentioned the Charlie Hughes coming up. Several guys, lots of offers that have gone out. They are attacking the elite players in the country. They are talking to everybody. They have got a staff that has such a great mixture of guys who can do things together. And it's just, I'm telling fans, if they'll be patient, I think they're going to see good things.
Yeah, I mean, the patience is the key word, but it's also
patience, grasshopper, grasshopper. But also, yeah, hopefully it turns out fun.
Yeah, and it's the one thing that the fan base doesn't want is to be patient, right? They want to win right now, which they deserve. But especially with this group, I think again, you won't, like you said, you won't know anything until calendar turns into 26 and you get in the heart of Big Ten play, because there's just too many unknowns at this point. But again, I do think that's a good thing, because
forget about just this team. Hell, I don't half the Big Ten. We'll have to wait to see. But What's next for everybody at thehoosier.com?
Yeah, so turning the calendar to next week, first official visit here really starts to get underway. You have 3 official visitors every single week to finish up June, starting with Sammy Jackson from the Philly area. Very critical kind of first start. He's making a decision at the end of this month. Pretty much it seems
Philly,
like yeah, with just don't say that to him. that may turn him off. He may see that and say, okay, we're going somewhere else. But this one looks to probably come down to Texas and Indiana. Texas is his last visit. He's going St. Joe's, Indiana, VCU, Texas are his final 4, and the 4 visits in that order. Indiana next week. But Sean Miller was recruiting him when he was at Xavier. That's where that connection to Texas comes. So we'll see how that one pans out. I think it's going to be Indiana, Texas. But we're doing a deep dive into the upcoming visits: Latrell Almond, Prince Alexander Moody, as well as the other ones, and taking a look at obviously what this team, from a basketball perspective, right, what this team can do this offseason, some of the key storylines, and some of the other key targets that could potentially visit as we get into later in June, July, August, and obviously in September.
Make sure you go to thehoosier.com. You better get a subscription while they have that great special, $1 for the first month, 50% off. You're missing out as constant information rolling out amongst Alec Lazley and the guys. Appreciate you, my friend. Have yourself a great weekend.
I appreciate it, Jim. Have a good one.
Thank you, brother. Alec Lazley joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Big thanks to everybody for joining us today, especially each and every one of you. It's never fun if we don't have you along. But we're back Monday to do it all again. I hope you have a great weekend. Go out and make it a good one. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.